This tutorial will introduce you to the newest feature in the game, the marine animals. Taking care of marine animals is essentially the same as with their land-bound counterparts, but there are certain differences. Let's take a look at them. Left-click on the Animal List and Details menu button, then on the Terrain Editor button. Animals from the sea fall into two categories, marine and amphibious. Marine animals spend all their time in the water and cannot survive on land, while amphibious animals live in both land and marine environments. Let's create a marine exhibit now. Left-click on the Fencing tab, then left-click on the Concrete and Glass Wall thumbnail to continue. Once selected, lay out the walls as you would do with normal exhibit fencing, and create an exhibit inside the outlined blue box on the terrain. The exhibit will automatically fill in with salt water. Now, let's add in a small-toothed sawfish. Left-click on the Adopt Animal menu button, and left-click on the small-toothed sawfish thumbnail. The small-toothed sawfish should be attached to your cursor. Move the cursor over the exhibit, and left-click to drop the animal into its new surroundings to continue. Seems like the exhibit is too small for the small-toothed sawfish to move around in. Let's give him some more room. Left-click on the Terrain Editor button, then on the Fencing tab, then on the Concrete and Glass Wall thumbnail. Left-click and drag another larger box, but this time make sure that the box overlaps the existing exhibit. You will notice that the two exhibits now merge into one, effectively increasing the overall exhibit size. This is a very simple... Now, let's see what happens if we try to delete the entire exhibit. Left-click on the Delete button and double-click on the tank wall. A pop-up message will appear asking you whether you would like to remove all the items inside the exhibit as well. This is a fundamental difference between land and marine exhibits. Unlike land animals, the denizens of the sea cannot survive without water, and if you delete an entire exhibit, you will effectively sell off all existing marine animals from the exhibit as well. This applies to any animal enrichment or exhibit enhancement items you have placed in the exhibit as well, as most of these items cannot be found or cannot survive on dry land. Now, let's take a look at another exhibit in the zoo. This one already has several flora and enhancement items inside, as well as two common dolphins, a male and a female. Double left-click on any one of them to view the Animal Details panel. When the panel appears, left-click on the button until you reach the Animal Preferences panel. Then see what the animal would like in its exhibit. The common dolphin seems to want some lettuce coral in its exhibit, so left-click on the item name as it appears on the panel, or on the small thumbnail. A piece of lettuce coral will attach itself to the cursor. Move the cursor over the exhibit and left-click. Place two pieces of coral inside the exhibit to continue. Now, try to place the lettuce coral over dry land. You will see that the item appears in red because coral only occurs in salt water. The same applies for most marine organisms. Without salt water, they simply could not live. Let's try the reverse. Left-click on the Flora tab. Choose the Senegal gum acacia and try to place it in the common dolphin exhibit. The item cannot be placed as trees cannot live in salt water. Left-click on the next button to continue. While we're in the animal, add a few granite rocks of any size to the common dolphin exhibit until the dolphins no longer display happy faces. When you are ready to move on, left-click on the next button to continue. Another major difference between land and marine animals is that marine animals do not require fresh water in order to satisfy their thirst. They acquire all that they need through the salt water itself, or through their food. However, that is not the only difference. All marine animals need, at the very least, a water filter. Marine animals relieve themselves directly in the water, so keeping this water clean is a top priority. Left-click on the Exhibit Enhancement tab, then build a water filter inside the exhibit. Good. While we're here, let's also hire a marine specialist. Marine specialists are different from their land-based counterparts, the zookeepers, because they can only tend to the needs of marine animals. By the same token, zookeepers cannot care for marine animals, only land animals. To hire a marine specialist, first, left-click on the Staff List and Detail button. Then, left-click on one of the marine specialist candidates, and left-click somewhere in the zoo. The marine specialist may know a lot about life in the oceans, but they cannot tend to the needs of the animals if they do not have access to the tank. Left-click on the Animals and Exhibits button, then on the Terrain Editor button, then on the Fencing tab, and locate the Add Exhibit Entrance. Place the entrance alongside one of the tank walls to continue. Great! Now your marine specialist has access to the tank and can feed the animals. While we're at it, let's place an orca in the exhibit. You'll notice that the orca appears in red when it is over the exhibit, and you cannot place the animal inside. That is because the tank is too shallow for such a large animal. You will have to raise the tank wall's height. Let's do so now. Move the cursor to the transparent part of the tank, then press Ctrl plus left-click on it. Now press Page Up to raise the tank wall's height. You can lower the tank wall's height by pressing Page Down. Finally, left-click to confirm. Place the orca in the exhibit to continue. Fabulous! You now know how to raise and lower tank walls, as well as increase or reduce the size of an exhibit to accommodate animals of all shapes and sizes. Let's move on. We will now have a look at creating a mixed land-sea exhibit for your amphibious animals. Delete or sell all the animals inside the exhibit to continue. As mentioned before, amphibious animals require both saltwater and dry land in their exhibits. Place 2 Californian sea lions in the exhibit. Double left-click on any of the sea lions to view its details panel. As you can see, this sea lion would like to have about 25% land in its exhibit. So use the Terrain Editor to raise the terrain inside the tank exhibit so that the land is raised just above the salt water. Then use the Snap to Terrain tool to spread the land to roughly 25% of the total exhibit area to continue. Fantastic! This is one way of creating an amphibious exhibit. Let's take a look at the other method. Find the windowed cobblestone thumbnail under the Fencing tab and create an exhibit about 30 by 30 grid units in size. Then, add another Californian sea lion in this new exhibit to continue. This time, we will add salt water to a land exhibit by left-clicking on the Lower Terrain button under the Terrain Editor. Then, left-clicking on the land inside the new exhibit so that roughly 75% of the exhibit terrain is under default height. Then, click on the saltwater button and create a saltwater pool. Finally, use Snap to Terrain in the pool to create a flat terrain inside the pool. As you can see, you can create amphibious exhibits either way, and the animal will still be happy with the living arrangements, provided you give the animal what it wants. Click Next when you're ready. As you now know, all marine animals need a water filter to clean the water and maintain its purity. But in the case of a land exhibit, all you need to do is make sure the water filter is inside the pool. Do so now. Place a water filter on the flat terrain under the water. Click Next button when you're ready. Good. Let's look at the final difference between land and marine animals. Healing the sick. Water is an excellent medium for contagious diseases to spread from sick to healthy animals. And once you have a sick and contagious animal in an exhibit, it's only a matter of time before all the animals in the exhibit are affected. Therefore, the most important action is to isolate the diseased animal from the healthy ones, before the illness spreads like wildfire, or rather a flood. Find the isolation tank thumbnail, which can be found under the Fencing tab in the Terrain Editor, and create a large isolation tank. Finally, add an exhibit entrance to the isolation tank to continue. As you can see, the isolation tank is different from the other tanks in that it is made of stainless steel, and visitors cannot see inside. This allows the sick animals to recover in peace and quiet, and visitors will not be affected by seeing sick animals. Click Next button to continue. Now, double-click on the poor sawfish. As you can see, the sawfish is sick. Control plus left-click on it to adjust its position, and move it to the isolation tank by left-clicking over the tank to release the animal. Excellent. As you can see, the marine specialist is heading towards the isolation tank this very instant to attend to the needs of the sawfish. Once you see the sawfish, double-click on it. Note that the status of the sawfish is changing from sick to recovering. After a short amount of time, the animal's status will return to good. Now that the sawfish is cured, place the animal back to where he belongs by Control plus left click to continue. That should be all for now. Before I let you get your feet wet in the world of marine zoology, let's recap what we have covered in this tutorial. Animals from the sea fall into two main categories, marine and amphibious, each needing their own type of exhibit in order to thrive. Amphibious exhibits can be created by either creating a tank exhibit, then raising the land above the exhibit's water level, or by creating a land exhibit, then adding in salt water. You can use either the line or box mode to create an exhibit, as well as increasing or decreasing the exhibit size. If you delete an entire marine exhibit, all items and animals will be sold or disposed of as well, because they require salt water to survive. Marine animals need a marine specialist to handle their needs, while land animals need zookeepers. Marine animals do not need fresh water, nor do they suffer from thirst. All marine animals need water filters to keep the water clean and poo-free. The water filter will continue to provide trouble-free operation so long as its deterioration level is kept in check through maintenance worker repairs. You cannot place an animal in an exhibit if the exhibit is too shallow. You can adjust the tank wall height simply by mousing over the leading edge of the tank wall, control left clicking, and page up or down